But we're very excited to welcome onto the podcast today the 2024 PwC Businesswoman of the Year, Emma Maye.
We built 600 houses and we have 1,000 in the pipeline over the next number of years as well.
For people interested in buying traditional kind of family-owned businesses, what's the first 6 to 12 months post-acquisition like?
The most important thing is the staff. The most important thing is minding your staff, making sure that they're going to be okay, and supporting them. It did a turnover last year of 45 million, and we've built that steadily over the last couple of years. People like to buy off people they like, so I'm very proud of what I've built. I don't see it as a difference anymore. I did, don't get me wrong. And through my NAMA days, yes, there was sexism. It's staying true to your values. Regardless if you're male or female, you have a voice. And if you agree with what you want to do and what you're doing, just go ahead with it. We've increased our ratios of females in the building providers from 1% to nearly 22%. I know that I did my dad proud.
So we're very excited to welcome onto the podcast today the 2024 PwC Businesswoman of the Year, Emma Maye. Emma, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So Emma, winning the PwC Businesswoman of the Year award, what was that like?
Very unexpected, to be totally honest. I was nominated for one of the awards on the night, but actually I thought everyone that won their category was before to, I suppose, the overall. So I actually thought I'd won there was a raffle during the night, so I actually thought I'd won the raffle, and I was just listening to someone on the right of me. So when my sister nudged me to say I'd won, I was there, oh, you go up, and she goes, I can't go up, look, and my face was all over the room. So I must say I was really shocked and delighted, absolutely delighted, and huge amount of positive things have come out of it as well.
Yeah, incredible achievement, I'd say. But is there a kind of a process to how it works? I presume you don't apply for it, or do you have to do any interviews or anything like that for it?
So you can either nominate yourself or someone else can nominate you for it. So actually, 2 people in the office had said to me a couple of weeks before that they were going to put my name in. So I actually didn't see what they actually put in. I went obviously after to find out what they had put in. But I suppose in the industry I am in, it's so male orientated. So to win it for, I suppose, myself and for the industry was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's great, and says a lot about you're obviously a very good employer if your employees are putting you forward for for the award as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a few bosses that employees wouldn't be doing that for. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Pretty cool. And I remember reading, Emma, that you had dedicated the award to your daughter who has dyslexia, and you wanted her to see you leading the charge for women with dyslexia. I know you've been very open in the past about growing up with dyslexia, and you've done a lot to raise awareness for it. Can you just tell us what you meant by that when you dedicated the award, and also how dyslexia has affected you growing up and also influenced your career going forward?
Yeah, well, when I was kind of growing up in the kind of 80s, dyslexia probably wasn't a thing, to be totally honest. And when I was growing up, I did feel in school I was very unseen. And to be totally honest, I felt like it was thick. There was kind of one class, I suppose, in school. Junior school, I actually did enjoy, but I moved in 5th over to a different school. And I suppose my challenges in relation to spelling and Irish, actually, and languages, I found incredibly difficult. And when I was doing my junior cert, I felt kind of studying and stuff like that, I had to work that bit harder. Down the road from us was a little grind school, and I was fortunate to be able to do maths on a Wednesday night and the Saturday morning. If you did the Wednesday, you were able to do Saturday for free. And there's a teacher down there, Mr. Brennan, and the classes were really small, and I really enjoyed maths, but I couldn't keep up in school. So he made the kind of classroom for me exciting. I enjoyed it. It was mixed. I was in an all-girls school, and suddenly I started to improve. And when I went back to the classroom in my school, I suddenly was kind of getting 16, 70%, because I suppose the stuff was being banged into me, to be totally honest. So I really wanted to do honours maths for my junior cert, but the teachers wouldn't let me. So one day I was up in the school with my mum, and the principal was there, and my mum had said to the principal, look, Emma really wants to be do honours maths for a junior cert. And the teacher turned around and said, Emma would be lucky if she even gets a leaving cert. I wouldn't be worrying about honours maths at this stage.
Wow.
And that was really difficult to hear. And I think in one hand, I think my mum thought I was far away, that I didn't hear it, but I did. And I probably carried that for many years after. Mr. Brennan kind of put a fire in my belly and made me believe that I could achieve things with hard work. And the principal at the time really dented my confidence. So I was taken out actually at that school. I ended up going to a grind school in Temple Oak. And I was lucky enough that the classrooms were very small. In some of my classes, there was kind of 7, 8 people. But I'd no sports and stuff like that. So you kind of had to balance the good and the good against what you were losing. But I did 4th, 5th and 6th there actually. And I didn't really it was good for certain subjects. And what I actually ended up doing was sitting my Irish in 5th year, so that I didn't actually have to add that onto my leaving cert points. But I got my leaving. I got a good leaving and I went to college.
Brilliant. Sometimes I know for myself anyway, there's nothing more motivating than someone telling you can't do something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, the only unfortunate thing was my first day in Carbrew Street, I found out that I was doing French for 4 more years. So that was the disaster in one way. But anyway, I bubbled through for the next 4 years having to deal with the language. But I ended up only getting tested for dyslexia in 2010. And the reason being, and I know we're going to talk about it, was after my father's death. I needed to learn a huge amount of information in a really technical area that I wasn't a part of, that kind of legal industry. So I went to get tested to see what part. And look, dyslexia was a word back then in 2012, but I've got 3 dyslexic children. We've a lot of neurodiversity going on at home. One with nodal processing disorder, dyspraxia, dyscalculia. So it's all going on at home. But look, they're happy. That's the main thing. And the supports in schools are so much better than they were when I was in school.
So then I suppose it's kind of it was probably a full circle moment when you won that award of PwC after kind of all you'd been through. So maybe if you could talk through maybe your early career, Emma, and then like right up to this decision to taking over your dad's kind of estate.
Yeah, so as I said, I ended up in college in Carbrew Street, which was a business degree sloped towards the hotel industry. So it kind of gave me that kind of hands-on, but also obviously the lectures and stuff like that as well. I decided in the 4th year that I was going to go and go into some kind of IT course. So when I finished my degree, I went and there was a college called Siemens. It's just on Leeson Street there, and I did my postgrad there for a year. And after leaving there, I went and I was a junior technical on the road engineer. So you were kind of changing passwords, fixing people's computers, helping them set up networks and stuff like that as well. And I really enjoyed it. Again, hands-on and working with people, which ticked both boxes. But I wanted to learn more. And I suppose the ceiling on where my management could go was very small. So I kind of set my sights really on kind of an American company. So I was lucky to get a role in Salesforce in Dublin. So my first day in Salesforce was in San Francisco, which was pretty cool. So my first 2 weeks introduction was over in San Fran, which was absolutely fabulous.
Unreal.
And what year would that have been?
That was in 2008, February in 2008.
So you got into
So
the tech world before it got popular.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of where I ended up in Salesforce, and I really enjoyed it because their values were very similar to mine. They empowered their staff. You gave a lot back in relation to your time. I think 2% of your time had to go to charity. Um, there was kind of an open book with talking with management and stuff like that as well. And they listened to you. So like it ticks so many boxes for me.
Yeah. And so much, obviously, so much responsibility, even going back to when you were working in the hotel, like there's even looking after those little HR bits and doing whatever you were around the hotels, like that's full on. And like they all add to the kind of arsenal of skills, don't they, that you build up as your career goes on.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It gives you a good tool bank as you move forward.
Yeah.
So Emma, then something changed and it altered your career completely. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so May 2008, everything changed for me. I was going out with my then boyfriend, who's now my husband. He was over in the UK, and it was a bank holiday Monday. And because I was so new to Salesforce, I was the new manager in, so I had to do bank holiday Monday shift. So I was getting the red eye from Manchester over to Dublin. And just as we landed in Dublin, doors opened, my phone had rang. And it was my mum to tell me that my dad had died of a heart attack suddenly. So that changed everything for me. Obviously, it changed the my family dynamic, but also over the next couple of months, the world was changing. The financial crash, and obviously then you'd leave mother brothers and stuff like that as well. So not just for me, it was a huge change, but the world itself was changing as well.
Yeah, and such a tough time in your life. Then you had all the other bits to add to it.
Yeah.
Then you made a very brave decision. In such a tough time. What was that?
Yeah, so my father passed away, and obviously then the funeral and everything proceeded after that. And my mum had been kind of a housewife for kind of 20 years and had looked after myself and my sisters. We're putting through us through school and stuff like that as well. She also had a heart condition as well. So she ended up having to take on a huge burden of my dad's estate. And I could see pretty quickly the impact it was having on her health. And she ended up having to buy a suit and go to all these meetings and stuff like that. And she was struggling. She was struggling, and I could see that. I asked Salesforce for a little bit of time to be able to support her in a couple of meetings that she was going into. And I could see pretty quickly the intricacy of the estate, the amount of legal meetings that had to go on, but also as well the impact, I suppose, of my father's death and my mum. My dad was only 63 when he died. My mum was only a 58-year-old widow. So I could see she couldn't do it on her own. Salesforce were incredibly good with me, and they gave me time, kind of each day or each week, and to be able to go and support my mum. So what I would do is, I would go to meetings during the day, and then in the evenings I do all my work and catch up on my work as well. I was always available on the phone as well, but I was kind of nearly double jobbing then. I found out I was pregnant in the August, 3 months after my dad had died, and probably about 2 months before I went on my maternity leave, things had got pretty heavy in relation to his estate and stuff like that. It was quite complicated. You'd done Drum Town Centre, you'd office buildings, you had other retails, you had sorry, You'd office buildings,
Hotels,
you
wasn't there?
you'd stuff over in the UK, over in America. It was a pretty complex estate.
Yeah.
So the time to kind of gather all the information together, to make it a working estate, was going to take a huge amount of time. So I kind of decided, just before my first boy was born, that I would hand in my notice and work full time for the estate.
So even looking back on that, Emma, like there's so much going on. If you could tell us like how you were feeling at that time, never mind like with how hard things are with business, just yourself, what are you feeling at those times?
Um, I was pretty exhausted. I was full of adrenaline. I probably was still grieving. I was overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and I suppose I felt I was in a bubble that I wanted to burst, but I couldn't. Um, so I just had to keep going. I probably was like the swan with the flapping underneath. Um, so it was extremely challenging, as I said to you previously. Um, Accountants needed to know answers, solicitors needed to know answers, and then obviously Nama was born, so they wanted answers too.
Yeah.
So there's a huge amount of people pulling out of me and a lot of answers. But look, I just kept going.
Yeah. And did you ever think about taking your dad's business over before that, or did you have a chat with him about it or anything like that?
Well, what had happened kind of, when I was growing up, I suppose, like I was the 8-year-old child with my sisters that were pulled through every green site in Dublin to look for his next project. And by the way, I do the exact same to my kids now. But when I'd finished my degree and stuff, we did talk about it. There was kind of areas he wanted me to go into, but to be honest, I wanted to be out there myself, earning my own trade before I went into his businesses. And also, as well, I didn't want to be Lee May's daughter, hanging on to him. I wanted to make my own decisions. Like there was a couple of different business ideas I put in front of him. But I kind of wanted to learn for myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wanted to get about 8 or 9 years under my belt before I kind of decided what I really wanted to do. And at that stage, if I wanted to go in and help him, I could have. But no, unfortunately, I'd never made that decision. But obviously, after he passed away, that decision was made for me. And by the way, I've never looked back. It's something that people always ask me: do I regret any of it? Absolutely no regrets at all. Since 2008, it was the biggest learning curve of my life, and a huge amount of things. As we said, I have a tool bank of different skills that I've learned, and it's like being on the battlefield. But I was always true to myself, and my family values and my values are one thing that I've always stuck to throughout that kind of time.
Brilliant. So, Emma, can you talk to us a bit about NAMA? So, like, what was the goal when like they started getting involved, and can you maybe tell us like how challenging that was, and maybe some of the really
Yeah, well, look, I can't go into kind of too many of because I'm paying for the NDAs and stuff like that. But I suppose NAMA was there to get the taxpayers' money back and to do the best they could do for every single asset that they had. So pretty quick in when NAMA was established, you were given a connection of 2 or 3 people, and then you had to do a business plan, which had to be done in 4 weeks. Unfortunately, I was 38 weeks pregnant when that business plan had to be done. So when I was brought in to kind of tell me my drop dead date was the same week that my second boy was going to be born. So myself and my team went in, and I kind of asked for an extra 2 weeks, which they actually denied me on the spot. But lifting my bump up onto the table and saying, well, look, now what will this give me? But anyway, in the end, they gave me 6 weeks. Toby, my second child, was born, and we did the business plan towards my delivery date, and I was back in work about 2 or 3 days after, which was ridiculous, to be totally honest.
Crazy. I say thinking back on that now, it's was at the time I probably didn't feel that crazy, but thinking back now, I say
It is when I look
yeah,
back at it. One of the things I suppose when I look back is how fast time goes. I suppose Nama probably robbed me a lot of time with my kids. That's probably one of the regrets that I do have when I look back. I worked pretty hard through those years. I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I put on a huge amount of weight. I had a rash all over my body from the stress. And like I look back at those regrets of the time that I missed with my kids. But then I suppose I know that I did my dad proud and I've war wounds from those times. But c'est la vie, like all you can do is learn from the challenging times you have and make sure those mistakes don't happen in the future.
Exactly.
100%.
I suppose then if we could kind of step forward a step from after getting through all those crazy difficult times, I think it could be even more crazy that you decided yourself then to set up Ardale Property Development. If you could maybe talk us through that decision and how long after that was kind of after all of the NAMA and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it was 2012, and that we settled kind of everything with NAMA except for one negligence case that kind of went on to 2019. But myself and my husband then, Alan, had been kind of buying a little bit of myself, my husband, Alan, bought some lands actually during that time. There's one in Clare Hall, and we were able to get planning for it, and we sold that. And that profit was able to give us the opportunity then to buy other pieces of land down in Wicklow and stuff like that as well. I really wanted a business. I really wanted to work with people, and I suppose there was a hotel and stuff as well in the estate. So like I got that opportunity, I suppose, to work with people through the estate, especially with our team. So in 2015, an opportunity came, sorry, 2014, sorry, an opportunity came to us with the building providers. And we were actually just starting to build, and Ardale was born. And it gave the opportunity with Clondalkin Building Providers to work with the team. So myself and Alan trotted off to the bank. We had business plans and stuff like that to do. And lucky, the bank backed us, and with a little bit of other investment, and we bought Clondalkin Building Providers in 2015. One thing that the owner wanted, because he'd no children that wanted to take on the business then, is he didn't want a corporate coming in and stripping out all of his team and making it very kind of corporate. He wanted to keep that family kind of ethos there, which is exactly what I love. So we did a really, really good job. And a year later, a building provider in Newtown near Clare Hall came to us and said, look, my kids don't want to buy my business. Would you be interested in expanding over Northside? So again, went to the bank and stuff like that, and we were able to buy his. Same thing happened with Blackrock, Ringsend, and then KCR as well. So kind of through those kind of couple of years, we bought a ironmongery company out of receivership called Basta in Tubbercurry, and brought that back to Dublin. And then there was a good few businesses. We kind of Westland Construction, we bought out of examinership and supported the manager, where in another couple of years he actually bought Westland back office. So kind of since 2015, we kind of built the building providers, but there was also other buildings and companies that we bought in the interim as well. And how many hold on a sec now. So through Ardale as well, which was born in, I think it was 2014, we built 600 houses, and we have 1,000 in the pipeline over the next number of years as well.
Brilliant.
So people get confused, because I think people think that my dad's estate was the building providers, which it wasn't.
Yeah. So if we could look at the kind of property development side of things, Emma, um, like someone looking in, could you explain to us how that works? Like, how do you even the simplest things and decide that the land is a good opportunity, and then how do you go about getting planning permission on that land, and then how do you go and get a loan? Like, if you could give us an example of how that works.
Yeah,
Um,
well, we try, like a lot of the land that we've bought over kind of the last 10 years, either there isn't planning on it and it has to be got, or that there's kind of certain issues with it which we try and resolve. So they're the kind of things that interest us, to be totally honest. I'm very lucky. My husband's an accountant. I'm not great with numbers. I'll be the first to ask, and I surround myself with accountants. So we have a pretty good team. We have solicitor on board. We have a planning expert on board and stuff like that as well. So it's not me on my own doing it. Like we have a really good solid team around us. So decision isn't always kind of landed with me. Obviously I'm the CEO, so the last decision is mine, but we go through kind of a rigorous decision kind of process before we decide to kind of jump into particular land.
Brilliant. And then how do you go about like evaluating if that lands, like if you're going to get a good return on that? Like is
Again,
that
the
you leave
accountants,
that you leave that to the accountants?
comes in and does all
Okay. But like
you know,
if you're
this fancy
but if you're the decision
stuff
maker,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. I suppose if you're the decision maker, then how do you get yourself comfortable? Because I say there's a lot of people that aren't good with numbers and stuff, but
Well, look, like as I say, I have a really good team. So what we do is, I'm part of the process in relation kind of to all the numbers and stuff like that. What's going to work, what's not going to work. So before we kind of press the button on something, and they have kind of presented to me, I've probably had 2 or 3 rounds with Alan on what's going to work, what's the risk. We're very risk adverse, to be totally honest. I suppose through the NAMA days and stuff like that, I don't want to go back there. So we just make sure that absolutely everything is sound and that we've gone through kind of every risk. Sometimes as well, we can bring in partners and stuff like that with potential projects that we're doing as well. So we don't necessarily do everything on our own. We've one particular place down in Arklow, we sold to the council, and then we built the houses and stuff like that as well. So look, everyone depends, and every kind of project is different for us as well.
very good. And I suppose do you another question that I always had about property developers is like, do you do the construction yourself? Like, do you manage it yourself, or do you hire a lead contractor to do that at a set price?
We've done everything. We have been partnered with DRES and for Tinnakeely. Another site that we had down in Wicklow, with someone else build for us. But now actually Claremont in Wicklow and Rathnew and Mariners Point in Wicklow, we're actually building ourselves our own construction company. And it's nice to have our own control over things, to be totally honest. And that's kind of where we see our future.
Brilliant. So, 1,000 homes in the pipeline. I think, did you mention you want to do 300 a year going forward?
150 a year.
150.
I'd love to up it to 300.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah. Well, the country needs 300.
Yeah, well, we absolutely need more than that. But no, we our kind of soft point is about 150 a year. So our team is kind of comfortable with that. So I'm happy with that as well.
Great. And then I suppose then we'll move on to the acquisition part then of your career with the 2 companies in examinership and core building providers. We'll start with core. How did the first opportunity come about? Like, were you looking to buy a business and this came up, or did someone contact you, or how did these opportunities come about?
Yeah, well, we're always open kind of for business for different opportunities. And as I said, like I like to be a part of a company that's people orientated, to be totally honest. So it came through a friend of Alan's, and when we went and met the owner and stuff like that, um, I really liked what he stood for, and that's very, very important. I don't jump into um, every we have a lot of people kind of coming to us with different ideas, different companies and stuff like that as well. And I have a very clear plan on what ticks my boxes, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
We do like to own the businesses ourselves 100%. So that's important. Or where it's happened before, where maybe someone might stay in for 20%, and over kind of a year after that, we can buy them out and stuff like that as well. But we've been involved in restaurants and Westland Construction and Basta, the Ironmongery. I think that was examinership. There's a couple of them, so I always get confused. But yeah, look, it depends on what kind of opportunity kind of lands on our desk. We've gone through a lot that haven't worked out, that we haven't kind of invested in, but yeah, that's kind of.
I suppose you kind of answered my earlier question about how you make decisions. It probably comes down to values for you and what it stands for.
Yeah, values, what
Yeah.
stands for, how we can grow it is really important.
Yeah.
Like we've had a couple of opportunities kind of down the country, and I feel that I have 4 kids under 16 now, and I want to be around for them. So me kind of drive around the country and stuff like that, I look, just isn't right for me at the moment. So Leinster based 100 kilometers away from the house is kind of the ideal for me, to be totally honest.
Emma, we know like so lots of business owners have like fears of kind of getting bigger and expanding their businesses because they're afraid of maybe losing their competitive advantage of offering a quality service. How did you manage this when you were kind of growing core, like buying up different businesses? Was it all down to that any business you've bought always kind of had the same values?
Well, what we did was kind of 5 building providers that we put together. They were all kind of different names, so we kind of had to rebrand them. And I suppose when you go through a rebranding exercise, like that's where you're kind of writing what your values are, what you stand for and stuff like that. And I suppose it always brings me back to what my beliefs are in running a company, and making sure that you keep coming back to them. So like each of the organizations that we've bought, they're all under one umbrella now. And I suppose it doesn't matter what the past owner did. It's making sure that the people that you're taking on are buying into your values and what you stand for, and your mission statement as well. Like they're all very important.
And getting bigger, never did that ever like cross your mind that, oh, are we ever taking on too much than what we can handle or anything like that? That never feared or was something you were scared of?
No, like the most important thing for me is that I can get around to each of the depots. That's very important.
Yeah.
We've had opportunities with the building providers down the country, and when we really sat down, and I wasn't going to be able to get down to far sides of the country, it just wasn't right for me. Um, because if you're not in a company and the people don't see you, I think that's where things can cause problems. And that's why I suppose a lot of our competitors and building providers are all around Ireland. We're in Leinster. We're able to service the whole of Leinster. I'm able to get to all the building providers. Actually, when we did the management buyout, we went around to all of them. Like I can get around to all of them in 4 hours. And that's getting the opportunity to talk to everyone in the depot and get to the next one. So that's really important for me. If you're not seen as a business owner, I think that can be a problem. So I prefer to be seen and for my staff to see me too.
It's a great bit of advice. I suppose for people interested in buying traditional, like kind of family-owned businesses, what's like the first 6 to 12 months post-acquisition like?
Well, actually, the first 2 weeks is the most important, and I've seen this fail with a huge amount of businesses. The most important thing is the staff. The most important thing is minding your staff, making sure that they're going to be okay, and supporting them. So really, I suppose the first 2 weeks is the most important. It's listening to them. They're at the end of the day, they're the ones that are doing the key roles in the organization. Again, being seen, um, letting them know, I suppose, what you're about, and building up trust. That's so important. Integrity is a huge part of my backbone, and I suppose you can't say one thing and do another. You also nothing can be beneath you either. I'm happy to pick up a brush and sweep the floor. I'm happy to help customers. I'm happy to do anything. I don't have a truck driver license, so I can't do that. But I'd be happy to do anything. So the first 6 months is very important. We always do comment boxes in all of our companies when we buy one, anonymous, so people can write in any fears, any concerns, or anything they feel that the company can be done. I've been lucky with the companies that we've taken on because we do get buy-in. People people, when they get to know you, I suppose, get to trust you, they do come behind you. We listen to our staff. That's very important for me. Every person in the organization has my number. I don't shy away from that at all. Bullying is zero. But it's listening to them. And I always think that I always say this to my managers, taking the comment box out. If you're not going to get everything rosy in the garden, but I love problems, and especially, I suppose, that's kind of my backbone of my IT days of people only ring you when you have a problem or something's broken. So it's taking those problems head on and trying to fix them. And it could be simple, like putting the dishwasher into a canteen, to having a proper work gear. But I think if you can give back to your employees, that's where you're going to win.
Brilliant. I really like the comment box idea. I don't think I've heard that one before.
Well, I think communication is very important as well. Like we do things very differently. All of our employees get Easter eggs at Easter. They all get a wee present at Christmas. We do the vouchers at Christmas. We do the Late Late Toy Show care boxes. We've done that for years, and a lot of our competitors have reached out to me and actually copied me. And one of our higher guys actually rang me and said, "Look, um, um, I've actually copied it, but look, isn't that the biggest form of flattery, I suppose, when someone's copying you?"
Yeah.
We do Valentine's Day, and we do prizes for music events and stuff like that as well. We do a huge amount of things. So look, for me, my employees are first, and they're definitely on our par with our customers.
It's very obvious that you do care. I suppose a common theme so far, Emma, has been that all of these businesses are in male-dominated industries.
Yeah.
And I know you've mentioned in previous interviews and stuff that you've experienced a lot of ageism and sexism. Can you maybe explain to maybe some women listeners that like are thinking of making that step up in a male-dominated industry, maybe firstly what to expect and how you went about dealing with it and overcoming it?
Well, it's funny, when you kind of get landed into it, you just have to deal with who's around you, regardless male or female. But I suppose some of the challenges that you do come across is that some people want you to excel and some people don't. And I suppose during the NAMA days and kind of in that environment, um, I suppose maybe it's from my school time of being unhappy, having to kind of raise my head against the parapet and prove people wrong. Um, it's really kind of standing up, and I know I've said this a good few times. It's staying true to your values. Regardless if you're male or female, you have a voice, and if you agree with what you want to do and what you're doing, just go ahead with it. Like we've increased our ratios of females in the building providers from 1% to nearly 22%. And look, there's a lot more male property developers out there. There's very few female, and I think I'm the only owner of a female of builder providers that's female either. But I don't see it as a difference anymore. I did, don't get me wrong. And through my NAMA days, yes, there was sexism, there was all the things, and it was because I was female. But I take no heed on that anymore. I'm a successful dyslexic CEO in my own right, and regardless if they're male or female, if they don't want to work with me, they don't want to work with me. But um, I think I'm up there with my peers, so I just get on with it. And as I say, my success is my success, and I don't let the people that want to stand in my way impact that at all.
So, Emma, you've stayed true to your values throughout your whole career. I suppose the next stage and selling core to the group general manager, could you talk us through the sale and kind of the reasons why you sold to him and the reasons why you sold it yourself?
Yeah, well, look, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and we've a huge amount going on at the moment, and especially with building in Wicklow and stuff like that. And I suppose a year before, I felt Core wasn't getting the most amount of time out of me that it should have been. So we had been contacted by a couple of people in relation to selling. It just didn't feel right to me. And my group GM came to me and said if I could raise the funds, could I buy it? So we started a journey, took 10 months. And 2 weeks ago, he successfully, we did a management buyout. So look, yes, I could have gone hit there and got a higher price. Yes, could sold to one of the corporates. Is that true to my values? No. Would I have done that to my staff? No. So for my legacy, I'm really proud. I'm really proud of what I've built with Core. We have 150 employees now. We built it from the first one in Clondalkin 9 years ago. So for the GM Gareth, who has stuck by me from day one, when we bought Core, he came from one of our competitors, Gareth did, and came to work for me. So for someone to work so hard with me and through the last couple of years, and to then end up being successful in having the management buyout, like, wow.
Absolutely love that. It's a great story, and especially nowadays, I remember hearing a statistic. I think it was on the David McWilliams podcast that 3 companies a week in Ireland get sold to foreign investors.
Wow.
So hearing a story like that, hopefully it inspires maybe more business owners to think of that exit strategy instead of going towards the corporates.
And look, the other thing is, like, it's great. Like, I'm chairwoman now, or chairperson. Chairwoman, I think, is more PC now. Of the business that I've built. So how proud am I? I still own 30% of it. It did a turnover last year of 45 million. We've built that steadily over the last couple of years. People like to buy off people they like. So like I'm very proud of what I built with Alan, and I'm very proud of what Gareth was able to do. And as you say, isn't it? I could stand by my legacy now of what I've achieved.
How was selling the business to Gareth different to any of the other kind of deals that you've done with other businesses? Was it much easier to get it out, like do that deal because you knew him so well, and obviously you knew the business, as opposed to other businesses you'd bought or sold in the past?
That's a good question. When you do a management buyout, it doesn't always work out. So I suppose that's the biggest risk that you do have. There's a very challenging 10 months. Obviously, you have to do your due diligence and stuff like that as well. And we had Mazars, which were in the middle of ourselves and Gareth as well. He did his advisors and stuff like that as well. Yeah, look, it's different. But the biggest thing was I didn't want to fall out if it didn't work out. So yeah, the last kind of 10 months have been challenging, but it's funny. But my biggest concern was I didn't want any of the staff to know, because I didn't want to worry them. I didn't want concern. And when we did the deal on the Thursday, I'd been speaking to Gareth a couple of weeks before, and I said, look, I don't want to give this news on a Friday before people go away for their weekends. It was actually the bank holiday weekend. I said, look, I'd like to do this on Tuesday, myself and yourself, and we go around and tell everyone, the employees, ourselves. And we did it group by group. And one of the biggest things that I asked all the groups was, look, please, I know you friends in other depots, but allow them to hear from us. Yeah. Because as you well know, news could travel very bloody fast.
Yeah.
But actually, by the time we got to KCR, they hadn't heard. And anyone that was out on holidays, we sent them a message, got them to ring. So by the time 4 o'clock came, before we actually sent out our release on our news, everyone had been told, and had been told personally by myself or Gareth.
All these, Emma, like even all the personal touches, like even something like that, been so understanding of how the employees think, going back to like Easter time, you're saying that you look after the employees. Where does that come from? Is that just purely kind of, it's always been the person you have, or have you learned along the way that your staff is so important to keeping the business super successful?
I've worked in companies that have undervalued their staff. I've worked in companies where the managers always take the glory for all the hard work that I have done in the past. And I suppose I've also worked in the companies, i.e. like Salesforce and others, that do small things for their staff. And it means so much. And it can be, I always think, if you say thank you to someone, regardless what they do, it means a lot. Like I've worked for managers, as I say, that just take your work and pretend it's theirs, and they never bother saying thank you. You might do which I suppose I am one of those employees that gives 100% to their job, and I've been one of those people that always just looks for that acknowledgement, and I just think that's so bloody important.
Yeah.
As I said to you, like you've people that have the title of CEO, but they don't go into the office, and they wouldn't even know a person's name out wherever they are. I don't want to be that person. I want to say thank you. I want to give what I can back. And like, I suppose we structured our business in a certain way that if you want to be able to succeed in the business, there is places that you can go.
Brilliant. I love that. I say you're a great boss to work for, and it's so simple. Like manners and praise, they cost nothing, but they can go so far.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And as well, like as I say, my door has always been open. And I love when someone comes to me going, look, I'd love to go out on the road. I'd love, like we've so many, and I'm not here to eat like the pat in the back or any shape or form, but like we've some incredible stories internally of our staff that have moved up the ranks, and are working in different parts of the organization, starting in one place and moved another. Like it's incredible, and that's the one thing that makes me tick when I see. And another thing that we've had employees leave. Don't get me wrong, and we're like the boomerang. We've 3 or 4 employees that have come back to us as well.
Brilliant.
So like they're really the things that I feel that I'm succeeding. So look, when someone leaves, you don't leave in bad blood. So when they come back in the door, knocking on the door to say to come back, it's success in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I say it's been a massive part in core competing against a lot of competitors in the space as well. That, as you said, people like dealing with people and buying off people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like our customer support is huge. And like we don't just do prizes for our staff. We also do prizes for our customers as well. And I suppose that's really important when you're doing all these kind of big benefits for your customers. If you're not doing them for your employees as well, why bother?
Yeah.
So like that's where we try and do initiatives internally and initiatives externally as well, and have them balanced as well.
Super. And Emma, I suppose a question that's probably on everyone's tongue is like, you have a property development business, you did own 100% of core building providers, you're a mother to four. How do you manage all your time and keep it all together? Like what's the secret to it all?
I'm definitely good at multitasking, that's for sure. I do forget my kids' names, and I do forget things every now and again, and I do mash loads of hours into one day as well. I love giving my time back to my kids' schools and stuff as well. I try and play tennis badly, and I swim badly as well. I'll be honest, over the last couple of months, I probably hasn't been the priority. Um, I do feel, especially with the management buyout, that I've probably the one person that's kind of missed out is probably myself. So now with that management buyout, I do get a little bit more time back. Um, but look, the scheduling is really important for me. If I have to get up that hour or two early and start at 5 o'clock to get these bits and pieces due, I have a junior cert going on at the moment in the house, so it's making sure he's got porridge and a smoothie in the morning is his biggest ones. But look, I think if you can balance things around, I give a little to everything. Um, I've kind of pressed pause, I suppose, over the last couple of days now to try and recalibrate myself and bring the things that give me joy back into my life, which probably haven't happened with the management buyout, to be totally honest. But look, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, go meet your friends for a coffee. They're really important to me. Stand on the side of the line with my kids playing sport is a huge thing as well. So look, I don't know. I try not be a busy fool, and I try that every hour that I'm spending is important, either to my kids or to the companies that I'm involved with.
So Emma, after everything, what lies in store next for first, for you, and then for the group and the companies?
Well, actually, I've been doing kind of a few podcasts and kind of keynote speeches and stuff like that as well. So a little bit of judging as well. So I've enjoyed that. We're about to launch a storage business in September. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So again, it's kind of starting from a business from scratch. And also as well, on our desk at the moment, we are looking at different businesses. So hopefully between kind of now and October, I'll have some more good news with again different businesses in a couple of different industries.
Super. Brilliant. Sounds very exciting. Emma, thanks so much. Thank you for all your honesty, great stories, and above all, just unbelievable advice. Especially with how you treat your staff and how you go about things. Just really, really good advice, and a lot of it was very unique as well.
Thank you for having me
I
today.
second that, Emma. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time.